What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is the Deep Corner, episode 32. I'm Rob St. Clair, and a returning guest to the show, recently named member of the all-tournament team from the Kickoff Classic, middle blocker from New York's Team LVC, Mr. Mike Marshman. Welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me back on. It's a pleasure as always.
Yep, thanks for hopping on. I love the Paris jersey. We can talk about France a little bit
Yeah,
later.
got to represent a little bit.
Of course. So we covered a lot of stuff in the last time I had you on. We covered your whole kind of volleyball origin story, your St. Francis career. Talked a little bit about Europe. So if anyone who hasn't seen my last episode with Mike, go check it out. Can't remember what episode number it was, but you'll be able to find it pretty easily. So this time, I kind of want to just talk about the tournament. We played volleyball, and I've been wanting to have all the all tournament guys on here to kind of talk about their weekends and their teams and your personal performances. So you and the New York boys had a pretty good weekend. Almost the weekend that you wanted, but not quite.
Yeah, yeah. VLA is happening, which is
Big
awesome.
time.
So let's just get that right off the bat. That was so awesome to be a part of it. So exciting to actually one, just play volleyball again, and two, to get back on the court with the LVC guys and see everyone from Chicago, Indiana, Phoenix. Super awesome. Yeah, not the. I mean, we had a high expectation. We knew we brought a good team, and we knew Chicago was going to be good, and we didn't really have any idea. We knew everyone was going to be good, but we didn't know exactly who was going to be on the Arizona team and who was going to be on the Indiana team. But we felt really strong about the squad we put together, and we wanted to get back in the finals, and we did that. So that was huge, but just came up a little bit short. Iceman played amazing that whole match, and got tip your cap to them. Congratulations, that was an amazing tournament.
It was an amazing tournament, like you said. The VLA is here.
Let's go.
It's here. Let's go. It was such a great weekend for us, just producing content. We put a lot of good volleyball out there. We got a lot of great viewership, so that's huge. And you're starting to kind of get your fingers on some of the social media aspect stuff we got going on. So I want to talk about that a little bit later because there's a lot going on there for sure. But I kind of was trying to go match by match for LVC from the weekend because there was so much volleyball that you guys played, and you just insisted on going to 5 every time. That was part of it. So the first one was the second match of the weekend. Your first match was against Chicago on Friday. And if you had asked me before, like you said, we weren't totally sure who was going to be on all the teams. But if you had asked me before, I would have said that one of you guys versus Chicago was going to be a championship preview, and it turned out to be that. And it was a 5-set barn burner, and you won 15-13. So there's a lot to break down from within that, but I think it was a lot of knocking rust off and showing just like how, after not playing for 3 months, how high of a level could you reach right away?
Yeah. So that's exactly what it was, pretty much. And I think it was testing the waters. I knew personally, going in, I think a lot of us knew that we were going to be really rusty. We were going to show up and try our best, but we weren't going to be at our best. And it was just sort of not getting too frustrated, keeping calm and under control, and just getting better and better, set by set, point by point. So, you couldn't get more exciting than that first match against Iceman.
Yeah.
We just went straight out there and just said, you know what, we're not going to hold back. If we make some errors in the beginning, we make some errors, but we got to go full. We got to go at these guys because they're going to do the same thing to us. And yeah, it showed to be a pretty balanced match in that way, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. It was balanced. It was back and forth. All the set scores were pretty tight. I think Chicago won set 4 30-28 or something, and then Luke Braswell, your setter, with a float serve ace on 14-13 to win the match. So that was tight. When I think I remember I had Hosley on when we were still streaming, at the very end of the match. I interviewed him a little bit, and I asked him what the difference was, and I think he said that your team blocking cleaned up a lot and turned around, and you and AJ were the middles that match, so you had a lot to do with that. I was really impressed really the whole weekend, but I think what kind of pushed you guys over the edge in that one is you and AJ and kind of the whole team getting good enough block touches to turn into transition offense. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, totally. And so just to build off what we were talking about before, knocking off the rust and everything like that, it's hard to really go into a match. Like you want to go in there and be like, yeah, we're gonna get all these block points, we're gonna get all these aces, serve them off the court, and block the out of system balls. But you know, that's when you're in midseason form sort of
Right.
deal. You got to play the game. You got to like have a little bit more security with your serve. So AJ played. I remember now. AJ played.
Yeah.
He was unreal.
AJ was great.
All out completely, and I was so stoked because it seemed like everything he did was just absolute money. So
Totally.
What we were, I think, just trying to do is make sure, because we haven't played with each other whatsoever, so there was no chemistry on the block. And that's huge. You need like 100% to have chemistry between your pin blockers and your middles. A lot of guys also weren't back in that rhythm of adjusting to inside sets and, getting on the ball when the ball's tight. So only thing we were trying to do, we knew we had really good players behind us. Behind me, I knew I had Pelletier and Cody, number 1 and 2. And then I know anyone in back 1 can play decent enough defense to keep that ball up. So my goal was just to stay very disciplined, very, clean on the block. If I can get a good touch, perfect. If I can get the block point, even better. But I knew I could just trust my guys behind me to pick that ball up. And I may have, let them out to hang to dry a little too much sometimes, and that's my bad.
No,
but,
you're a middle. You can't apologize for everything.
Yeah. But it was just pretty much try our best to stay clean. If you're not closing, just leave that hole. I was watching some of the videos perfectly. Recently, and I saw Pelletier perfectly filling like holes in the block, and Cody doing the same. And it was kind of like really awesome to see like how our block defense system just gelled so quickly, and that was end up being the difference at the end. We were just trusting each other, staying disciplined, and getting transition points out.
Yeah, I think that's all really well said. Blocking at the highest level is hard. It's really hard individually, and it's even harder as a team because opposing offenses are so fast. Even after not having played for a few months, when a team's in system, that offense is gunning out to the pins. Like everything's fast. Like that's not going to skip a beat really. It's kind of all just the little details that will be a little bit slow to catch up, and blocking is definitely probably one of them. So it's cool hearing you talk about that in detail. Pelletier is another guy I want to get on the show later. His all-tournament performance at Libero, well-deserved. I thought he was awesome all weekend. And Speaking of good defenders, I couldn't believe how well Cody Kessel played middle back. I thought he passed absolute nails. I thought he touched so many balls that he either had no business touching or just bettered a lot of balls. He just was really like positively contributing all the time. You probably haven't actually played with him before, right? What was it like getting to know Cody as a player during that first match?
Yeah, so I've known Cody. I've only played against him back when he was on Princeton. And I missed that 1 year he got to play at Nationals with LVC. Mm-hmm. But it was just really, really awesome to because he's just a great guy overall, and just a pleasure to have on the team. But his style of play is just really, really that next level that I just love to share the court with a player like that. Almost like Surzin, in that same sort of caliber, in my opinion, where you just know that they're going to be there on defense. If a ball's overset, he's going to rise up and touch it. Of course, with Cody, that's a no-brainer. But it's really just it's a whole nother level of comfortability almost, and because you just have so much more trust in that person, and their level, and they're not only their skill level, but their mental level, that they're going to go 100% every single point, and they're going to get touches that some people just don't have that sort of extra drive to get. So loved it, man. I hope I play so many more matches with Cody in the future, but who knows? We'll see. Maybe in April next summer. I hope he's still grinding with the national team.
Me too.
But yeah, I would love to get back on the court with him.
Yeah, whenever he gets any free time in his life, I hope he decides to spend some with LVC again. It was really fun watching him. Another player that you definitely hadn't played with before is Luke Braswell. At least I assume. Really?
But not in VLA sort of sense, not in that sort of level.
Sure. I actually loved his game a lot too. I hadn't really seen him that much in college. Obviously, he's 23, just finished at Penn State, and the middle setter connection is such a big deal How long would you say it took you to kind of click offensively? I know he was trying to get you and AJ and Lance involved early and often in all the matches, but there's a lot of fine details there.
Yeah. So I have played with Luke before. It was during like a local East Coast tournament. It wasn't for anything big. It was more like a nationals tune-up tournament. But I know his brother Steve Braswell very well, and there was times where I would stay at the Braswell's house before like a grass tournament, and I would play. I coach a camp with them too. So I got to know Luke very well as I was going to St. Francis with his brother Steve.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a good connection. You know, as a friendship, like right off the bat, and it was good to see each other. And that I think is really huge with that center middle connection. So you have that good chemistry already, and I think we were both not expecting to be like 100%. You know, I trust him to just, you know, he's a great setter. Like there's nothing really
he's
I can
good.
like. Yeah, there's nothing I can really be like, like, can I just get the ball a couple inches here, you know, he's gonna make the adjustment, and I'm not gonna be perfect. He's not gonna be perfect, but basically, it was just sort of like, let's try and just do our best and like just keep talking. And if there's an error, like I'll let you know. If I messed up, I'll let you know, and we'll just adjust on the fly. It wasn't really any sort of like time thing, and it was sort of just like, you know, I trust your level. I know you trust mine. Like, let's just do this. Like, throw me the ball a couple times.
Yep.
I put it away.
Yeah, and you did a lot of that. You and AJ and Lance all weekend. That middle attack was pretty smooth. It looked really good a lot of the time. So after you beat Iceman 15-13 game 5, you turned around like maybe 30 minutes later, and you guys had to play again. You had to play the second leg of a back-to-back against Phoenix, and fortunately, you guys had enough depth where most of the starting lineup was different. Cody played back-to-back, Pelly played back-to-back, and I think Luke did too, but you got another outside in, you got another oppo in, you didn't start the match at middle, so that helps. And then it turns out that one goes to 5 as well. You started in set 5, and I'll get to that, kind of injecting some energy into a team that was starting to run out of gas. But from what you were seeing from the bench in that match, you guys were up 2-0. You had match points in the third, and then Phoenix kind of stormed back. What do you remember about that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, a combination of a lot of things. You can't take really anything away from Phoenix there, because they came out, you know, willing to fight and give everything they had in that third set. I don't think we necessarily played poorly. You know, wanted to. I love that. You know, you from the sideline, I couldn't really say like, oh, we weren't, you know, doing this well. We weren't serving, you know, as well as we could. It was really just Phoenix kind of responded.
Yeah.
And maybe we didn't have the energy at that moment to meet that response. And then I think they just took momentum. I think we gave up a couple. If I remember, we gave up a couple runs that kind of hurt us in the middle of the set there. Couple plays didn't go our way, and I think AJ did on the bench. AJ did come up to me at one point and said, like, "Yeah, I'm gassed."
I'm gassed.
So, yeah, it was, and I could tell Cody was, you know, feeling it, and he was still, you know, doing everything he could, and, you know, jumping a million feet high. But you can tell there, once that fourth set like started rolling, that we were starting to, you know, kind of fade a little bit.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's when you play 9 sets in a day, like
Yeah,
that
that happens.
Yeah, it's not only physically. I mean, the gym was super hot too, and that's that's just going to play an effect as well. But at that level of volleyball, it's also like not thought of really that you're mentally exhausted too, you know, and that combination it'll get you. And Phoenix was ready to go, and it was another awesome 5-setter.
Yeah, so I have to give Phoenix a ton of credit. When I talked to Dave Wyzork from Chicago last weekend, I gave Phoenix the same piece of credit in how unbelievably well they defended. They touched everything, dude. I couldn't believe how many digs, just like straight up digs they got. They weren't all like offensively transitionable, but they touched balls that they had no business touching. So I was really impressed there. And when a team like you guys is just grinding, fighting against a hot gym and exhaustion, 9 sets of volleyball in a row. A team that just digs a million balls is not what you want to see. So CJ, your coach, did a great thing I actually watched the match again earlier today, or most of it. You guys were getting smoked in set four. Set four kind of got away from you guys, but what he did is he put you and Norton in at the very, very end of set four, just to kind of get you moving around, get you loose, so that in set five you could kind of be the fresh legs off the bench. And so, because Landon was pretty gassed, AJ, like you said, was definitely gassed, and Cody was going to push it over the finish line, but he was kind of losing it too, understandably. So it gets to set five, and it's back and forth, and it's crazy, and you end up winning on a really unfortunate play where the ball slipped through Vince's hands, setting for Phoenix, which is a bummer of a way to lose. But you've somehow managed to pull away two nail-biting 5-set wins in a row, and they both felt different, but the result was the same. So I think I had E on after that match. I can't remember, but I think I asked him, okay, in set five, what's the difference for you guys?
Yeah, I think it was just, if I can just try to remember a little bit, it was it was almost just I just wanted to bring as much energy to the court as possible. Joe had that sort of vibe too. We just needed to rally the dudes for 15 points. I think I remember saying that when we were in the huddle before the set started. I was just saying, all right, that was 15 more points of today, of the rest of the day, 15 more points. Let's do this, and we still get the win. No worries, no points. Let's just do it. 15, we can do it. Let's start with the first 8. And that's all I was trying to do. From what I could see, the difference was just maybe that point-to-point mentality, where we didn't focus on losing a lead early, and because that first 8 points is so crucial in set 5.
Right.
So we weren't worried about getting a gap. If we missed if Phoenix were to go up a couple points, we weren't going to get worried. If we didn't get on the right foot, we weren't going to get too worried. We're just going to stay calm, stay patient, point by point, and eventually point 15 was going to happen. So I think that was just a little bit different, a little bit more in the moment, a little fresher legs, and a little bit more energy.
Yep, well, it did, and it ended up being a huge win because it put you totally in the driver's seat in the pool, and in such a way that you knew that you were done for the day Friday, that the next day, the first match of the day, you were playing Pineapple, and you know that the match actually didn't matter. Now, it's not to say that there wasn't value in playing the match and trying to play well and perform well and improve your team because of that. But in terms of the standings, it didn't matter at all. You already had the 1 seed locked up, and you knew that you were going to play Pineapple again in the semis. So I can't remember if you played that one or not. I haven't rewatched that one back. One thing that I know happened in that match was James Hosley had an outrageous foot dig. That Chris Hosley bumps set and landed pounding cross court. So that if anybody listening hasn't seen that clip, we posted it during the event. I'm going to post it again because it needs more eyeballs. That was ridiculous. You ended up losing 2-3 to Pineapple. You played I think E set the whole game. Just a lot of guys got some good playing time. Pelly hit most of the game, and you learned a little bit about Pineapple. The loss didn't affect where you were going to be in the standings, so I don't think there's all that much to say about that one. Do you agree?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I think that was. It was clearly a match to rest. Some of those guys that played a lot of the matches the day before. There was maybe a little bit of let's try and tire them out. We didn't want to purposely go to 5 sets whatsoever, but we knew
could have fooled me.
Right, but we knew if we could sort of grind a little bit, make the sets close at least.
Make them
really
work.
Just
yeah.
try and get our all. Yeah, make it work. And the intensity was still there, which was awesome because I do remember. I don't know if I played that match. That's weird. I normally remember all the matches I played, but it was because the guys who played they knew they were going to get smaller minutes, and at certain positions. Like James knew he was going to be a defensive specialist and a serving specialist, and we're all still going super hard for him, and like for all the guys on the court. Like we don't want to just take a letdown match. Like we want to go hard for everyone. We want to play hard and everything like that. So for him to come out here and make the sickest dig of the entire tournament,
definitely the sickest dig of the tournament.
Yeah, it's like that's what it's all about. And like it really didn't matter if it was a letdown game for sure, but it was just still playing for each other. We have that family vibe on LVC, and that's just what it was all about. So I'm glad we sort of tuckered them out a little bit. Probably didn't, but it was nice to also just get to see them before we knew we'd most likely play them.
True. Well, all those Pineapple kids are like 23 anyway. At least the team that we saw that weekend. So it didn't matter how much they played.
Exactly.
Yeah. It also, from a league perspective, fun content. 5 sets. Like nobody's going to argue with that. So that was cool. It ended up being really fun to watch, even though the stakes weren't all that high. So then later that afternoon, you see Pineapple again, completely different situation. It's the semifinals. You're in the playoffs, winner go home, and you absolutely took it to them. Different lineup played. We know, like people who watched the whole weekend know how young that Team Pineapple team was, and I'll get a handful of their guys on to just talk about the weekend that they had. I know that they got a lot of positive things out of the weekend, but with the youth and the inexperience that they had, a team like you guys with all the high level experience and the maturity was likely to be pretty dominant in that matchup, and you definitely were.
Yeah, and it's coming back to me. I do remember I did play that match the first time because I remember. Because they're all young guys, and yeah. I've never really played against any of them before, and I remember just trying to like find as many sort of tendencies sort of just do my own scouting report while I'm trying to play, which was not the easiest thing to do, but
that's useful.
Yeah, I tried to get a little bit of pieces here and there from everyone, and I do remember blocking with E during that match, which was amazing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it just came down to. Well, there's no taking away from Team Pineapple's greatness. What they did in the earlier days of the Pro League in the United States, like development, where they went back-to-back national championships at adult nationals, and the teams they put together through all those years, and P-Tech and Robbins and those legends. There's no questioning their greatness, and it's obvious that. They're trying to go for a more youthful movement while still keeping those Indiana roots and everything. I think you have to, and they're going to be a nasty team in a few years.
I agree.
So yeah, it was. It's nice while while it lasts, I guess, because they're going to be really good. But yeah, maturity and just a little bit more experience, I think, probably just. Got us a little bit of slight advantage there. Having our full squad a little bit rested was another huge advantage. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm nervous yet, but they're gonna be really, really darn good in just a couple of years. So
I agree. Nice. Yeah, they're gonna continue to get really, really good the more touches they get. Yeah, watch out for that Team Pineapple squad. All the 20. Like in one case 18-year-olds, the 22-year-olds, like they're going to touch a lot of balls. They're going to get a lot better. So yeah, I'm excited to watch them over the next few years. And so you guys, you certainly didn't look past them, which was the right mature thing to do. You beat them pretty cleanly 3-0. And then the nice thing about being the 1 seed is that you took care of the semifinals on Saturday, and you didn't have to play again until the championship on Sunday. And there you ran into a Chicago team that was so hot. And the final score was 3-0, but it wasn't lopsided, and it was close. All 3 sets were close. But from what I remember watching it, there were a couple just runs where Chicago kind of used your recipe of block touch as a transition defense. They would serve you to about 15 feet, and that was just good enough to get some offense on their side. And I think there were a couple just some minor details about the LVC offense that just weren't quite perfect, and against a team that was playing as well as Chicago was that day, you were going to get punished for that. So, not like you got to the finals, like you said, you and the guys wanted to do, and you maybe just didn't have it that match, but there, whatever the deal was, there's a lot of learning to be done. So, what do you remember from the championship?
Well, when I reflect on it, immediately I thought we played our best match a match too early, probably. And yeah, what I remember, all I really remember is that they were in such a groove that it was really, really difficult to stop them anywhere. They made very, very few errors, and when they did, in the rare moment, it was like they would just side out immediately. It was like you couldn't get a huge run on them. They were very, very, very good in the next ball sort of play. I remember Jones had also an amazing match.
Jones was unbelievable that match.
Yeah, it seemed like not many errors were made, and just it was almost like not even just continuing the play and keeping the ball in. They were just ripping away, and they weren't hitting the ball outside the court. It was just always in and off a block, and they did a really good job also just disrupting, I think, our offense just a little bit. I remember, I think I only got set twice in the championship. So obviously their serve was ripping. It was clearly ripping because, they were just grooving. But they were just getting us that little bit uncomfortable in our offensive sets, which when everything's going so well and then you're doing that, I think it's going to be a 3-0 win. I mean, nothing we could have really done. I mean, we could have probably tried to play like we did against Pineapple, but it's never a guarantee. So
right, yeah, I think you guys by no means lost that match. I think Chicago went out and won it, and that's very mature of you to give them a lot of credit, which I agree that they deserve. I think they played phenomenally well. I remember for set 3, CG actually moved Cody to the right side and brought Landon in just to kind of give a little bit of a different look. And Chicago didn't really blink at it. They rolled with it, and they continued to kind of play their ball. So, I think hats off to them. Playing against Dave Weiswork and Mark Jones on the pins is a pretty tall task. But you guys I think you had a spectacular weekend. There's a lot to look forward to for Team LVC, and like when April rolls around, we're probably April anyway, when we're playing another season again, who knows what additional pieces might still be there. But for this weekend, if you could just kind of summarize the positive things that your team took away, what would be a couple of those things?
I'm sorry, you broke up for a little second. Summarize what?
Sorry, just like the whole weekend, like the positive things that your entire team took away from the weekend, like going into whenever the next season is.
Well, as far as going into the next season, I mean, we know like how great of the level can be, and the potential for this league is absolutely, the sky's the limit pretty much. I think just being able to organize that weekend was incredible during the situation we have, obviously.
Yeah.
And the level was still just, you can't really say a lot about it. It was great. You're not going to find higher level volleyball outside of the national team gym. So it was, that gets us super pumped about, what the future has in store, with all like the different events, different sites we're going to be on. Playing in front of people again is going to be super fun. And just trying to connect more to the fan base. That's what is also a little bit exciting. It was almost just like, we want to try and get a lot of content out there. We want to try to get the league some exposure and show like this is, for real. This isn't set up to fail. Like this is a legitimate thing that we are going to do. And the players are all in, the board directors are all in, the teams are all in. So I'm glad we could show that. And we're just excited to keep keep that ball rolling and bring LVC back, and try and get a little bit stronger team. Hopefully, in the future, we'd love to get some practices and love to get some cohesion.
True.
So we can show up and try and dominate. And I'm sure everyone else wants to do that too. So that would be amazing if we could, if we can all organize that. And I think everyone at LVC is just super excited for what's in store.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to be optimistic about. You said it, when we get to play in front of real people again, when we get to play all the events that we were scheduled to play this year before everything got shut down. This league is really going places, and you're not kidding. We're doing this. It's for real. It's not set up to fail. It's set up to be a big deal. Sky's the limit. We saw it. So thank you and your whole team again for being a part of that weekend. It was great to have everyone in the gym for once and do what we were able to do that weekend. I think we proved a lot, and there's going to be a lot more to prove once next season comes around. So you were talking a little bit about engaging the fans, and now that we have hours upon hours of match content to use, you and I and a bunch of the guys on the board have been talking a lot lately about the best way to use all that footage to reach the most amount of people until we can start next season again. So I've already been impressed with all the thoughts that you've had about how we want to do that. What are a couple things that, like, what's the key to reaching people in like the year 2020 if you're a volleyball league? Like, what are we trying to do here? What do we want people to know about us?
I think it's such an interesting situation too with the whole Stanford men's volleyball situation. For maybe the listeners who aren't aware, Stanford cut 11 varsity sports from their athletic programs, and men's volleyball was one. It's one of the most successful men's volleyball programs in NCAA, not only on the court but academically, and it's the complete opposite direction. So I think what we want to continue doing in trying to connect with fans is to show how appealing this sport is. And like, it's really hard to show on certain video, but when you're sitting there and when you're on the sideline and when you're watching these guys play, like sitting on the sideline and watching Cody jump and attack a ball and watching Wyzorek go and hit a bic is like mind blowing. And you're not gonna, be able to feel that fully from videos, but you're able to get an idea. So we want to try and just show, the young audience, like, this is really fun, and this is something like that you could probably really enjoy watching. When I was growing up playing basketball, I didn't think twice about playing volleyball as like, for pleasure. I thought just to stay in shape. When I actually got to play, and then when I saw the varsity players come in after my JV matches, thumping balls into the floor, I'm like, dear God, awesome. So I think the big thing is just trying to like really connect with the younger like audiences and showing them like this is really fun, and we can make it fun. It's not just like the game, but off the court, like, we have a great time. Like, it's pretty much, we're all friends. The community's so tight. Like, we pretty much, just want to hang out and just enjoy being around each other, have a couple beers after the match. Like, that's what it's all about. It's about family. It's about community. So I think that's what makes volleyball a little bit more special than some other sports. You don't have that same sort of community. Volleyball is super, super close, and like, we want to hang out with the fans. We want to get to know you. Mm-hmm. And I would just like to hope that we can somehow find ways to include those fans in our community and with our teams. We have some ideas actually in the process right now. A couple jersey giveaways, some other things brewing. We want to just really just say like, hey, like, we don't want you to just be like supporters. Like, we want you to be included. So yeah. I hope that we have a lot of good people working. I'm really I'm super like proud to be able to collaborate with you and all the other minds, in our little group to try and really get that appeal into the younger crowd and not have a Stanford situation, be repetitive. We need it to keep going forward for sure.
I agree. It's a good time and a good point to bring up the Stanford thing. I could not believe that news. that Stanford team in 2010 that won the NCAA championship, that was pretty much the first like real high level volleyball I ever watched. I absolutely fell in love with that team. I will never forget watching them beat Penn State in the championship that year. There's a guy named Brad Lawson that went 27 for 28 with 27 kills. It was one of the most outrageous performances of all time. Yeah, and like the idea of Stanford cutting their men's program is
of all programs.
Like
crazy.
Like you got to be kidding me with that. So that blew my mind. I have a homework assignment for everyone listening. There are a few Instagram accounts that you must go follow. One is I think it's at Save Stanford MVB. There's something about an Instagram handle that's similar to that. It's dedicated to like what we can all do to save that Stanford program. So find that and follow it. A bunch of Stanford alumni are like very, very active right now, posting about what we can do to help. I know there's a petition with 30,000 signatures already. So go find that if you feel passionate about keeping that program alive, which you should. And Marsh brings up a great point about keeping forward momentum going with the sport, because that's the crazy thing about Stanford cutting their program is that they must not be seeing what's going on in the volleyball world, how the sport is growing, the forward momentum of the men's game at pretty much every level, including ours. So it's such a just like counterproductive and uninformed decision to make to cut a program like Stanford. So you said a lot of really good things in there. Engaging with young fans, and when we get out to actually play in front of them at those junior events, they're going to be so hooked. Like you said, watching guys like you touch as high as like you and Cody and players like that, it's going to be impossible not to fall in love with this league. So we're going to use a lot of our online content to stay afloat until we can do that, and we're going to be putting up at a lot of great stuff. Speaking of jersey giveaways, I assume that would be on LVC's Instagram, so follow that. And how dope are those flamingo jerseys? Oh man,
so good. I mean, I think all the jerseys are actually amazing. I happen to know the guy who designed it, and he's pretty cool.
That would be E. He talked about it on the show.
Yeah. No, he did an amazing job designing all the jerseys. So what I'm thinking of doing, and basically the idea was if the VLA could get 2,000 followers, like the VLA Instagram account can get up to 2,000 followers, Team LVC is going to give away an old school national championships worn jersey, like the very first flamingo jersey. It's my jersey. I can sign it, do whatever you want. If you want it just straight up, I think it looks clean straight up. But that was the idea. So maybe we'll plug that in a little bit more on our Instagram and have some more ideas flowing. But yeah, if you can share with your friends and try and get that thing up to and try to get the VLA count up to 2,000, there's going to be a flamingo jersey coming your way. But I don't know. I think I really like Phoenix's jerseys too. I think they're pretty dope. I don't know. It's hard to say.
They all look pretty killer. I was really impressed. They look great on camera too. I love that idea about us getting 2,000 Instagram followers, a little LVC jersey giveaway. So stay tuned for more info on that. So Marsh, before we get you out of here, I wanted to ask what's next for you personally. And I've talked to you about this when we were in Indiana a couple weekends ago. There's a lot of ambiguity and uncertainty going on in guys who are overseas professional volleyball players right now. But you got your situation locked down. You have some pretty good news to share about that. So what's your plan for the next 8 months?
Well, for the next 8 months, as of right now, this moment, because everything's, like we were talking about earlier, everything's changing super fast. But I signed a contract to play with the team I played with last year, Cambrai Volley in France. Last season, I played in League B France, but we finished in first place by the time the season was canceled or finished. That gave us the ability to ascend up to League A, which is the top league in France. And the budget was passed. Everything's good. Everything's cleared. So looking like mid-August, I'll be flying back to Cambrai for another season and taking a jab at League A France volleyball. And it's been a huge it's been a huge target for me. I've been trying to reach to this level for a long, long time, and I can't believe it's real. I'm still staying like, in the moment, and, just trying to like making sure everything's good with the travel situation and making sure there's no extra guidelines. But so far, everything's looking like it's a good to go. So season's got a start date October 3rd. Just basically got to get over there, make sure I don't have COVID, and get on the court, start practicing. So super excited.
Congratulations, man! I know that's a goal that you're working towards, and reaching the top professional league in a country like France is a big deal for an American, for anyone, but for an American especially. So, huge congratulations and well deserved. And for anyone that wants to follow your journey, your Instagram's on the screen at Mike Marshman. You're super active. Your content is awesome. So give this guy a follow as he goes to church.
One thing to get in there. Yeah. If you're looking for that petition for Stanford, please sign it. It's a link in my bio. So
it's in your bio?
Yeah. So definitely, if you want to help, try and do anything you can to get that program back, to where it was and back in action and existing again. Definitely sign that link in my bio.
Great plug. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Confirmed in Marshman's bio. There is the link to the
shameless plug there.
No, that's good. Smart thing to do. I'm glad you got a source on that. So yeah, go look at the link in Marsh's bio. Sign the petition to help the Stanford men's program out. I'm actually kind of optimistic about maybe getting a turnaround there. The response has been pretty overwhelming so far. So hopefully the volleyball community comes together for that one. But yeah, give Marsh a follow to see his France adventures. Give LVC a follow. Give the VLA a follow for maybe a little flamingo jersey coming your way. And just stay tuned for a lot of more, highlight videos and more of this show and awesome content from the league. So a lot of good stuff going on. Marsh, thanks so much for joining, man. Good luck going on to France. I'm excited to follow along. And give the people a little sign off, I guess.
Well, thank you again for having me on. Always a pleasure. Be ready. There's a ton of good content. Can't wait for you guys all to see it. And everybody stay safe. Looking forward to next April where we get this thing kicking off for good.
Yep. All right, Marsh. Thanks, buddy. We'll see everyone next Tuesday for the next episode of the show. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time.